Welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, and this is a meeting of the Senior Center Site Selection and Building Committee. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation via Zoom is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting or hearing will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast, unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with a particular interest in a specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may access the proceedings by joining Zoom meeting 375-414-6055 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100 prior to the meeting. So with that, I call us to order at 6:06 p.m. Any amendments to the agenda?
What the minutes, we don't have.
So the, so I'm gonna take August 28th and September 11th off of, so I think Carolyn had offered to do the 28th and I could not, and, she had other commitments, did not get it done yet. And I just don't remember who volunteered to do September 11th, so.
Dennis?
Was it Dennis? Okay,
Dennis, yeah.
it was Dennis. Okay.
He's not here, so we can.
It was definitely Dennis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And then the only other thing I was gonna say is, at the time I made the agenda, the select board hadn't met yet, so I'm just gonna suggest that we welcome our new committee member first and then go on with the rest of the agenda. So any other amendments? All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. I'm gonna turn off the AC just real quick.
Yeah, I think I was gonna be looking at it all night. It goes towards the sound. We used to have cars go by one of our services, and whenever the car went by, she would look out the window.
All right. So, great. So first, before we do anything else, I'd like to give an update on the or on our newest committee member, Bonnie Tillotson. Welcome. So at the select board meeting last night, there were two candidates that were interested, and the select board, heard each of them talk about what they wanted to see or wanted to add to the committee, and there were two very qualified candidates. The select board ultimately decided to appoint Bonnie as our newest member and to appoint Linda Collins as an alternate member. And so she was going to try and attend tonight. It's possible she's lost and doesn't know where she's going. The idea with an alternate was that they would be at the table, they would be talking, they would be sharing input, but they would not be voting unless there was another member of the board missing. So with the idea that, again, this is a marathon of meetings and we're all going to have things from time to time that prevent us from being here. But with an alternate, we can still get a really varied and representative view of the town, but still always keep the business of the committee moving forward. So welcome, Bonnie. Thank you. All right. Did everyone have a chance to look over the minutes from the August 14th meeting?
Yes, I did.
Can I get a motion to approve the
I
minutes?
move we approve the minutes from August 9th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Chair says aye. Wonderful. All right. And as mentioned before, we're going to table August 29th and September 11th and hopefully get that caught up at the next meeting. Okay. So item number 3 is an update on the select board and finance committee presentations. So 2 weeks ago, as several of you were there at the meeting, we presented, welcome Dan, we presented to the select board to give them an update selection of Bishop Road. They were very supportive. Each one of them was excited to hear the update. And aside from words of encouragement, I guess, of support, the only other question that was asked was whether or not we would definitely be seeking a special, whether we would be going for the Springtown meeting. Clarified at that point that that was part of the next phase, was to determine when it would be, but the town manager did remind the select board that they had given their support for a special town meeting for the project. Ken, am I summarizing that while you were there?
Yeah, good enough. I mean, you put out a nice report. Couple of pages,
Mhm.
and the report had, you know, concept plan, had the floor plan, it had the Bishop Road, look like 5 different photographs and attachments. That was good. We can provide it to the new members if they. But it's on our website now, right?
Yes, and I was thinking maybe we could get together and meet and I could catch up and
Okay.
share all the documents. I mean, but yeah, everything is on the website.
So they,
Like I said, this is hot off the press from last night.
I think they pretty much had looked at what we sent them. And you know, that was it. We made a small presentation. Couple of comments. You made a couple of comments, Alan, right? I think, didn't you speak that night? Was good.
And then later on in that week, I learned that the finance committee had put us on the agenda for their meeting. So I brushed up the community presentation that we'd given, updated it and everything, printed out 11 by 17s of all the photos and everything that we had. As it turned out, when we got to the meeting, the agenda was quite full. And so they weren't quite ready to hear a whole presentation at that point. They just wanted the, you know, I'd call maybe the elevator speech. And so we just updated them on the need for a senior center and what we had done thus far. And they had several questions.
Mhm.
I thought they were all exploratory. They were all pretty supportive questions. Yeah, I mean, nothing that was unexpected, I guess.
The only thing is they basically said, thank you for coming in and we'll look forward to seeing you again.
Right.
Come back again.
And then, let's go to you guys too, with capital planning as well.
So I think overall, those two steps, those two meetings went quite well. No major hurdles there. So, all right.
Yeah, it's there, but
Yeah,
I just make sure.
no, he's on, yep. All right, so I think that brings us down to item number 5, which are the Bishop Road site updates. The first item is the Bishop Road gate relocation process. Dan, did you want to speak to that? I know you had a meeting recently.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm sorry I'm a little late chartering in from baseball for my son, but there was a meeting between Mass Development, US Fish and Wildlife, and I was also there for the town of Ayer, and they were speaking about a few other topics besides just the gate movement. But for the gate movement topic, there was two members from US Fish and Wildlife, and basically Mass Development explained the project, explained the reasons for wanting to move the gate. You know, on their end there's the pollinator garden down there and the trail and opening up the area for more access. And also, you know, I spoke to the senior center and also the town of Ayer wanting to have more access for, you know, for the senior center and in general as well for recreation. So there wasn't, it seemed to be accepted pretty well. And the two members who were there indicated that, you know, the gates on their end, what they have is they have a rare species that has a migration in April. And I think it's salamanders, but don't quote me. And so the gate gets closed for that. But they indicated that the crossing is more toward the Nashua River, so not between where the existing gate is and the triangle that we call the triangle, that kind of turnaround area. So it was presented that we'd move the gate just past that turnaround, the triangle, so that vehicles would be able to go all the way down, turn around at that triangle, or even park there to use recreation. So they said they would had a positive reception. What they wanted to do would have their staff biologist go to the site and look at things and visit it with Mass Development and the town of Ayer. So that's getting scheduled. That'll be the next step. And then after the staff biologist looks at the site, um, they'll report back and we'll have another discussion about moving the gate. But regardless, the gate is going to move. It's just a matter of where. And it's going to happen in the first thing in the spring is the current schedule. So we'll kind of hash out what Fish and Wildlife has for requirements and go from there. So probably later this month is what I was told. The staff biologist would be around to do a site visit. And there was, I should mention too, there was talk of, you could potentially even have two gates, one for just the salamanders, and then, another one that would be like past the triangle, if that was, if based on the staff biologist's report, if that was needed. So good news, but still in progress.
That is good news. Wonderful. Ken, did you want to give an update on the A&R and survey progress
Did
today?
you bring the copy of that? Oh, I
I
thought you were
did,
gonna print it up for everybody.
I did, well, I
You sent it
started,
to everybody in the email.
I sent it over in the email. I started to print it out, and then once I got into the other two that had come in, some of them were really, really long, so I just didn't. I could do that. Do you want me to print them?
Well, you guys got it in the
I
email.
read it.
Yeah, everybody read it. Yeah, so long and the short of it, Katie has signed it. We found out that she had authorization to sign up to $10,000. We didn't have to take it to Robert.
Okay.
So we have issued a job to David Ross Associates to do and if you looked at the detail, you could see there was a little more through there than, what we talked about in the meetings. They're gonna do topography, they're gonna look closely at the site. I have talked to them separately about the fact that it could be 4 acres, it could be 3 acres. Undoubtedly, we will all have a site visit with them while they're out there. There'll probably be a time we set up a meeting and we all walk with them while they're doing their initial look-see at the project. So that'll give us a chance to double check what we all see in the field. And then they're aware of the fact that although it wasn't in their proposal, but they're aware of the fact that it's gonna be septic system, and of course we'll have to have a provision for a future septic. There needs to be enough land for both the original and the future. That's the way you do it when you have a septic. So there'll be provisions for that. And I told them it's pretty much open-ended, except for the fact I didn't want to take too much land from DPW. So that was the only thing I kind of left, but damn it, you'll obviously be looking at that. Yes.
Yeah, I heard that clear. Yep.
So in essence, it could be a little deeper than we showed them, but the data was sufficient for them to get started. Get the ball rolling. And it'll be about 3 weeks, probably the end of October, before they start the field. And then maybe it
What was it? Is there a cost?
was 10,000.
That's what it's gonna be,
It's not to exceed 10,000,
and not to exceed 10,000.
not to exceed 10,000.
$9,999.
No, it could be less because
Yeah, probably, yeah, I'm just,
this should go pretty quickly in the field.
Do we have to give them a retainer or do we just? A retainer?
Just sign the thing and they go, yeah.
pretty small amount of money for them.
The A&R, so that is on the way as far as that goes. Can't think of anything else that was in particular about it, other than, we could change the size. I mean, I took another look at that, John, and it seemed to me like what was on your drawing, like the layout.
Here.
May only be like 2 acres.
Yeah, we didn't know at the time, we suggested up to 25,000, depending upon how much land you got, how much topography you have. And I think we don't have it defined in this drawing, but this is
Yeah,
where we're gonna go.
Right.
And then there will be a septic and,
Right, but if I took a look at this today, I mean, it told this is 10 and this is 5 or 6. This is about an acre. The whole thing right here is probably 2 acres.
yeah, and you probably need 3.5.
Yeah, so we're gonna be in that ballgame, basically. They'll take a close look at that, and we'll get a chance to go up and look at it with them.
They're gonna be locating trees,
They're gonna-
I think we
No,
probably
they-
have that obligation.
They're gonna, at this particular point,
Yeah.
they're gonna create the perimeter of
Okay,
the lot.
good.
They'll give us points in the field, they'll put in the rebar at the end of the job when we decide what it is and
Oh, yeah, and then,
get the drawing ready.
yeah,
At the time.
got it.
They're often, Want to talk about the other two? I mean, Anybody have any
Yes.
questions? I should say that on the, everybody saw it except you guys. I don't know if you saw it.
Um,
Anyway, everyone's happy with it, I guess, at this point in time.
Is that Dan? And
You're Dan.
when do you
Dan.
expect the sidewalk to happen?
You know, they can't start for like 4 weeks. So
fall.
sometime in November,
November,
yeah,
yeah, late fall.
while they work.
Ken, I don't know if we've looked into it. Do you know what the process will be when we approve that A&R? It has to go through the planning board, but is there is there select board involvement to sign off on
No.
anything?
It's just a planning board. We'll
Yeah,
show
yeah.
it to the select board as a courtesy and whatnot, I'm sure, and show it around, but. The
But-
planning board signs it. It's approval not required, basically, because it's an existing piece of land on a
Owned by the town.
given
Yeah.
street.
I just
You
didn't,
know-
I was making sure there's no like town meeting or anything because
No.
we're messing with town land. Even though I know it's just still gonna be town land, but I didn't know if, does the select board have to sign any legal document that gets recorded or who does? I mean, the planning board will, the A&R plan, but I was just curious. I don't know if we need to look closer at that at all or
I hope you don't.
maybe you
No,
know.
it doesn't appear that you have to, but
Maintains with the town, there's no.
that stays with the town.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
Yeah, there's no acquisition or any stuff like that, but I just didn't know.
I guess the process would be that we as a board will look at it, then we would make the recommendation to the select board, and then hand it off to the planning board to sign it. As a courtesy for the select board and who would report to show them what the
So
result.
they're gonna pretty much, Ross is gonna locate the lot, lay the lot out.
Well, we've already laid it out.
They're gonna pin it though.
They're gonna pin it, they're gonna give us a drawing that shows it, we sent them all the documents. I don't have them with me because everything's in the email, but. Basically highlighted the spot, sent them a plan, sent them pictometry view, images from the sky, a bunch of different stuff, so that it was enough for them to start.
Okay.
And they're well aware of it because they did the base drawing in 1978 of the land.
So they have a benchmark.
Yeah, they have the whole,
Okay. That's,
Do you want, I've got it here online. Do you want me to pull it up on the screen?
yeah,
Okay.
because we'll catch everybody up.
Um,
But the other, I was thinking about pulling up the stuff that we sent them, for bidding.
Isn't that in the, no, it's not there. Okay. That is,
Sent them the highlighted drawing.
that's in, those are the last pages of,
Oh, yeah, of your report to the select board.
yeah.
In fact, I sent them a little more. Yeah, I do.
You know, I don't think that's in this list of documents. Let me,
there, he's got it.
okay, let me make a note to,
We sent some stuff like this.
I Cindy put those up there.
This is showing the floodplain where it comes out. We in particular stayed away from that. This is off of Mass GIS. So that's the corner of that lot that we're looking at. And that matches the highlighted piece. And we
For
sent
those
them-
joining online, what we're looking at is the
Right here.
drawings that were in the select boards
Right.
packet that accompanied my report to them, and I apologize, those didn't get loaded up separately to our site.
Go right in here. That's the gate, and that's the opening of the gate. They actually did the base.
These ladies love to see it too.
I have a copy
Oh,
in
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That way that people can drive around.
I have a copy in
You
here.
know,
Yeah, so that was that. That should work out fine.
so this won't have any like grading plans or anything like that yet? Oh, it will?
I asked them to include topography.
Oh, really?
Yes, I
That's a
did.
good deal.
So paying for the topography. Paying for, site visit.
Can they come and do my property as well?
Sure.
That's a good price.
Yeah, the topography, was important because John mentioned that earlier. that
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have that as a base.
Yeah.
So we're doing the topography.
Okay.
Well, it's right in the proposal, if you want to read it to me.
Oh, yeah, I
These guys.
just pulled that.
Maybe just the guts of it.
Yep. All right. Our field crew will locate existing property corners consistent with this plan. Office calculations and plotting will be performed, and a property line determination will be made comparing the field locations to the positions as described. A full topographic survey will be performed on the Massachusetts state plane coordinates and elevations locating the visible improvements to the property.
Are they 1 foot intervals?
It does not say that. Says you indicated the adjacent property does not contain any wetland boundaries that will impact any or the proposed development. So any delineation or location of any wetlands is not included in the services to be provided. With your input, a final approval not required plan will be prepared suitable for presentation to the Town of Ayer Planning Board and reporting with the Registry of Deeds. After endorsement, our field crew will return to the site and will install an iron pin at the existing and new property corners for the subject property. So,
And what I talked to him about was the rest, the septic. Allocate for that, would have a field visit. And the size could vary, no issue with any of that. Doesn't have to be exactly 3 acres, it can be whatever we all work out. That was it.
okay, great. Great. And then did I see, Dan, do you want to speak to it was 2 quotes for phase 1 environmental that came in, is that right? Just recently?
Yeah, so yeah, both Ken and I tackled this together. And so I did receive a quote from Cooperstown Environmental. I've worked with them in the past. And Ken received one from Omni Environmental. And I haven't had a chance to look at them closely. But I did look at the price. I think Omni was a little lower, right? Ken, did you look close?
It's basic, it's so close, it's pretty much the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah. I think it was only like $3,000 for Cooperstown and Omni was a little lower. But I haven't looked at them in detail other than just receiving them recently. So I think Ken and I, we probably got to reconvene, review those, and then we'll be good to go.
Dan, can I help out with that as well?
Sure.
Yeah, one of the advantages we have to have a quorum, is, what, now 5 people at least?
Yeah.
3 of us can meet, not have a quorum and have a working group
Right,
discussion
yeah,
legally. They were both comprehensive. I was really pretty surprised at the length of what's included. And maybe they have a template that they just, run out, but they 8 or 10 pages at least, those.
One of them was like 25 pages,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
And they, again, that we, Ian and I shared the documents that we sent to each of them. So we sent each firm the same documents. So they all have the same information, but most of that work is going to be done by them online, by researching, what's available on state, federal records and whatnot for the first phase, which is pretty easy. So that's a good price.
Great. Good to see all of those
So
things.
do we need to pick one of those, out of those 2, we need to pick one
We're
or?
gonna have to pick one, but what Dan is suggesting is because of the number of detail in their proposals that he and I look at it together with
Okay.
Bonnie, then we'll come back and say, figure out which one, but I think you're all on board that 3,000 is a pretty good deal, right?
yeah.
If we go with that, then we'll just pick one of the 2.
I think when I was on the Conservation Commission, it was a lot. Or something like that.
Sometimes the sites are more complicated.
That's
Sure,
right.
with a lot of wetlands.
Yeah. That was the trick to
Yeah.
break that thing down,
Yeah.
so, one of them did Omni indicated, Dan, did you see at the beginning that he already had gone online, and took a quick look at something? He said
Oh, yeah,
this-
I didn't see that. Okay.
Yeah, he had a quick note that, he just clicked the state thing or something and it appeared like it was a pretty straightforward deal. They probably both did the same thing, so.
Yeah.
that's how they come up with it.
So then we will, you guys can coordinate a time to meet.
Yeah.
And then bring your findings and recommendation back to the rest of us.
After we sign it. No, just, yeah.
All right.
It's easy.
Any other updates on, the Bishop Road site work itself?
Yes,
Okay, and what you got?
so the next one is so we talked about the phase 1 environmental, but the second one is the habitat assessment.
Okay.
So Dan, any luck on that? I finally got through today to Oxbow, so they're providing proposal. Took me 3 tries to get through to them.
Okay. Yeah, Goddard is providing when he's working on it now. I spoke to him briefly, and the habitat assessment, they technically can't do it until the summer because that's when the New England blazing star, that rare species plant, that's when you're able to do that assessment. But he said what they can do now is like an initial survey, and it'll give us a really good idea of what to expect and what's out there. Um, and even he might even be able to find some of those New England blazing stars that are dead. But he said those aren't really the big deal. It's the Blandings turtles more to deal with. The New England blazing stars, you can usually relocate them or work around them. But that was just my initial conversation with him. But he's putting something together with me with kind of a phase 1 of, all right, we'll go out there, do an initial survey, present some preliminary findings, and then habitat assessment when we're ready to do, when we're able to do that.
Okay, well, that's gonna be interesting to see what Oxbow comes back with too, so
Yeah.
we'll have a way to compare, and see
Yeah.
what Oxbow says about that situation. But anyway, we have, again, 2 professional firms working on.
Yeah, they're both good, no, both.
And then am I correct in understanding based on how we've discussed this before, that this is not a red light, green light for this site? It's a matter of what kind of accommodations would need to be done, or?
That's a good explanation. but
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
Because of this location within an area of critical environmental concern and the mass wildlife endangered species and, natural heritage and endangered species
Okay,
jurisdiction, we have to go through these steps.
gotcha.
With
Yeah.
phase 1, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
My initial conversations too with Steve from Goddard were that, based on our footprint, if we're like an acre and a half, 2 acres of development, you might be okay and not trigger what's called a take for the Blandings turtle. And if you trigger a take, then you need some kind of conservation permit for the Blandings turtle. And usually you have to deed additional property twice the size of what your property is into like a conservation restriction to protect the turtle. So this is all way down the road, but there, in short, there is no red light, but there could be some requirements that we have to deal with depending on how the permitting goes. But, there'll be like during construction requirements to, do turtle sweeps and have certain barriers to prevent turtles from coming on site. And then there'll be something long-term, most likely a fencing around the site and things like that. So anyway, that's, initial conversations I've had with, between, Natural Heritage and Steve from Goddard.
Good.
Is there any concern about archaeological issues on the site?
We'll both find out, but down below zone.
Will that come out in the environmental one or?
It come out of this one,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I hope we don't find any unexploded ordnance now.
You may know it earlier than later. Yeah.
All right, any updates, Dan, on National Grid?
Yeah,
Yeah, so so basically it's a little harder for me to get to a designer without providing significant information. They want, loading, a line diagram and several things that are beyond my capability. So I've reached out to one of my electrical engineers I've used in the past and I'm just asking him, hey, what do you think I should do here? Do I need to do any further work, design wise to find out to provide this information? But they're telling me they won't set me up with a designer unless I provide more information about what the building will have. And I'm like, well, it's not designed yet. We don't totally know. We have some ideas. But so I'm kind of in a pickle right now. I'm trying to figure out how best to push forward and get a design started.
Okay,
we could tell Wilbraham and the other ones, we can get that information.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of my thoughts. Do we want to just snag Wilbraham's information and use that toward what we're doing here? It'll be pretty similar in the end.
Yeah, and just add 10% and 20% to it, in case something else comes up.
It's getting pretty crazy out there, but let me, it's just more for you. if we can give you what we think we'll need for power, I think we have all those calcs. For Wilbraham is a very similar sized building. And then you can give that to the National Grid. They ought to be able to work with that. You know, we know it's all built now, so we know what we're working with. So
What-
we'll look into that.
Just maybe I'll connect with Dan Arts, maybe, I connect with you after, or outside of this, and maybe you can help me. I know you've given me some information already, but they want more, so, but maybe we
Yeah.
can use for him to get there.
Yeah, I'll try to get you the power stuff that we had for Wilbraham and work something together.
Yeah, all right, I'll connect with you. I'll show you exactly what you're asking.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right, great. Any questions, comments, follow-ups, additional things for the site?
Water.
Water?
Agua.
Dan was working on water too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan, you still had one more thing.
Yeah, oh, can we get a stipend? That's how I'm starting this. No, I'm just kidding. So I started putting together an RFP, and then I talked to Matt, the town engineer, and he's like, I can do this. And I'm like, you know, I just don't want our workload to be too big. And he does, you know, based on schedule and everything, we can do it in-house. So DPW will design it in-house, the water to get to the site. So Matt deserves a stipend. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, yeah, we'll take that on. And I did reach out to David Ross because they're already doing the survey of the site of potentially do survey for the that corridor where the water main would come down, and ultimately where the overhead electric would also go down too, which we'll need. So that's first step. Once we have that, you know, the biggest hurdle is going to be crossing the railroad tracks and just dealing with Pan Am to get the approval and work with them to get that cleared away. But yeah, it's not a hard design at all.
They're not gonna use it anymore. Probably could use it anymore.
They still control.
I know they do. So John, with that, so that falls under utilities, that would fall into the package then, right? It wouldn't be a separate.
We had a line for it.
Line for it, right?
Yeah.
A separate line.
Yeah, you gotta come into we go from adjacent to the site into the building. If you gotta go from wherever he's coming from, I don't think I have that carried in any of our money right
No,
now.
we put a separate line item.
So we're still
Yeah.
thinking of, we get electricity to the site, you get water to the site,
Mhm.
we're still talking about doing a septic,
Septic,
and we're talking about doing a propane.
propane.
Yes, absolutely. That's what we're figuring.
Other updates?
But that in regards, back to the gate, I talked to John, I can't pronounce his last name from the Mass Development, he said, once everything's worked out, that thing can happen tomorrow, he said, they'll move that, no problem.
He told us that maybe 2 months ago,
I already talked to him.
but I know you can take care of it.
Yeah.
No, I thought Dan V was gonna do it.
No,
Yeah.
that's enough.
That's well, we would help them, but they seem gung ho to do it themselves, so that's all the better. I mean, they do, and it makes sense. We're gonna put a sign at Park Street to indicate when the gate is closed. But anyway, yeah, we're just at the speed of Fish and Wildlife right now.
Any chance of talking to Mass Development or the Devon's Enterprise Commission about them sharing in the cost of the water going down the road to create some kind of a loop with a pair of gates, you know, so we could back them up, they could back us up, something like that.
I reached out to
He's watered down.
Jim Moore, and I'm gonna have a conversation with him about that and about electricity. But I don't know if that will go real far, but I'll reach out and see.
Dan, who's that, Jim Moore, is he up in Mass Development?
Yeah, he's Devon's utilities manager.
No, real well, good guy.
Yeah.
I have a quick question for John Catlin, but it's really related to this. If we do, I guess the question probably is not pertinent, but if we do site utilities with a contractor before we do the building, all of that still has to be done prevailing wage, right? No matter what we do. We can't have an open shop contract, bid a water line, because it's the town
Public
water
money.
line anyway. I'm talking to Dan about this.
Oh, that Dan.
Yeah,
I
Oh,
don't know about that, though.
if we bid the water line, Dan, does that, when you bid out a job like the water line?
look at that. He's looking at you.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
It's
Yeah.
always the prevailing wage, no matter what,
Yep,
bonded, so forth. Okay, got
yes,
it.
yeah,
So, all right,
That's any on the road.
And over a certain
Yeah.
amount, it needs to be bid, but under a certain amount, you don't need to bid, right?
yeah. Pretty much any construction job is enough to be bid. It's 50 grand is when you get into bidding.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
All right. So the next item is a facilities and IT update. That's just a very short update. We are still trying to schedule that meeting. I think it's gonna be on Monday next week. Between, Cindy Knox, the IT director, and, Chuck Schultz, the facilities director. And happy to have other members join as well, just to get a handle on if there are existing facility systems that they're trying to keep cohesive, if they're, if there are any particular designations that, we're a green community, we're this community, that community, just to make sure that everyone's aware of what designations all of that needs to have. And then, also to start working on what the operational budget would be from the facility side, now that we have kind of a rough idea of what the building would look like. Because obviously I know what operationally I can scale, I can anticipate and scale what I would need. But because we don't pay utilities here, that's something I said I need Chuck and John's help with to kind of piece that together, because I know that will be a question when it comes to town meeting, is how much it will cost to run that building.
That's where you come in, where your omnibus articles under your council on aging or whatever is gonna change dramatically because you're gonna have significant things added that you don't have now, so.
Well, and that's part of the discussion, because right now I don't pay utilities, I pay rent, but I don't pay utilities here. And I'm not part of there's nothing about this location that's part of the facilities budget. Yet some other town buildings, some of their costs are rolled into the facilities budget. So, that's just, we need to meet about that and figure out, what roughly the utilities costs, what amount of maintenance we might need to allocate each year, and then whose budget that would sit in.
So Katie, through John, is there a way you can do that?
I'm gonna actually follow up with Wilbraham, see what they've been doing to date. They're in a similar zone as we are with the same providers. Although we do have gas piped in there, but propane was a little bit higher. We haven't done a propane one for a while, most of them.
First time for everything, John.
Yeah, I've done lots of propane,
They're awesome.
yeah, but mostly for small schools.
I built a house up country. I used it. It was awesome. It
Yeah,
was unbelievable. Yeah.
my house was in propane.
Yeah.
So I will follow up with Paula and the town of Wilbraham. Also, I might also do the same thing with North Andover, because they're also a very similar size. And they're just been completed. They've been running for a year now, so
Right.
we have more time experience with North Andover than we do with Wilbraham. So I'll do that too.
So I know Dennis was interested in that subcommittee exploration with the IT part. Does anybody else?
When would you guys set a meeting for that yet? Have you said?
So one of the options was Monday afternoon, somewhere around 2:30, or next Thursday, but I hadn't heard back from Chuck yet. So those are the two times that Cindy was available. I'm happy to loop anyone in on it. Do you want me to add you to that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Right. And then any other questions about facilities? Like,
One question, was there any thought or discussion about solar on the roof?
Absolutely.
I mean, it looks like there's flat roof, I don't know.
Yes, we do. There's a flat roof. It may work better on the site, or it could also be on the roof. The roof will be strong enough to take it on site. I prefer it on site. Roofs can get really funky. Plus, the problem is your solar will need work probably before the roof, but if the roof needs work, solar's in the way. So it's nice to set it up. We have to look at, we have some high land behind us. We look at the solar aspects of the site. And if we do on site, that would be part of that. You know, we're looking, you know, you can be on top of the septic well.
Yeah.
You know, it's,
Because sometimes you can generate more than you need and you can pass it back to the
my
town.
son does that right now.
Yeah,
He's
I know
very
a lot
happy.
of people do it.
It
yeah.
costs him 25 grand to put it in, but he
Yeah.
says, you know, he gets $400 a month back, so and he runs his electric car.
the same size, 7.85, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, as we're looking at the solar, we looked at putting solar on our sludge landfill, which is nearby. And there were issues with permitting, and the footprint of that solar wouldn't have been big enough. I mean, this is just one building, maybe it makes more sense, but the natural heritage priority species will kind of come into play if we look to take up additional area.
I think it would fit within the site. It could also hang over the top of the parking lot. A lot of people do that. The
That
issue is
yeah.
that we would not be able to do the whole building, and it would be supplemental to the building. It'd take a lot, even though we're all LED and everything, but, and also we're gonna stretch energy code, right?
But you can stretch energy
Yeah,
code in
yeah.
this town.
Yeah. It adds to the cost, but it saves you money. Quite a bit.
all right. John, you are up next with the
Well, look at Dan.
latest round of updates. Dan, you're up next with the latest round of updates.
All right.
Go ahead, Dan. You can talk about where we are in the renderings and where the site has changed. Go ahead.
All right. So I get John has with him the updated site plan. I just spent a little bit more time developing it a little bit better. So right now, currently, we're coming up on Bishop Road. We enter still on the right left side, coming straight down. It's about south. We have our pickleball courts. Two of them currently, and there's still, I would say there's room for expansion or possibly whatever else, maybe bocce or whatever might come down the line. And then we have our drop off loading zone for kitchen equipment, for kitchen, for the
Service.
medical staff and all that. And as we come in, we drop off right on our right-hand side, passenger side, dropping off covered walkway. There's a little bit too many tables currently shown in that patio area, but we have a little patio area with a pergola up there. That's all up the front. And then we still have our walking path coming around the building. I added a little patio area down by the kitchen on the
Thank
south
you.
side.
As well as
a
one.
couple-
library.
And then we have the larger one down at the end of the multi-purpose room. Nothing else has changed. In the parking lot area, there are walkways. So we have safe walkways for people that park out.
Yeah,
So between the
So you're
various
putting a
roads that are
Yeah.
right-
You walkway through the islands?
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
walkways in there.
Drop and save.
Yeah.
Sidewise, it's gonna be, that's gonna have to be treed.
Yeah, we'll have
There's gonna be landscape.
that is the next step is I'll start landscaping a little bit more. I show a couple landscape, a little bit of landscaping around the building,
We did it.
That goes
but
later.
Yeah, we
tree-
did it in
but that comes
Longfellow.
lower, yeah.
So Dan,
No,
on
it
the-
didn't go on there. What's
is
the
it
other?
Dan, it's Dan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think it-
Dan, we have two other items that we have to locate. One, we do the propane, and if we do the septic, where are they located on here?
Well, they're not on here.
They're not on
This
this.
lot's
We have-
way bigger than this.
yeah,
Goes
we-
way back
Yeah.
further.
yeah, we go wider.
This is only about, what, an acre and a half?
Yeah.
There'll be a lot.
Once we
There's,
get
there's
this
definitely room.
worked out, then we will,
And we're gonna have stormwater too, stormwater basins out here.
yeah, we're gonna put it under parking lot. Or we can do,
We could probably do a retention pond. We have enough
do it all.
area.
You do it here.
oh, okay, we'll give you
Just don't
a
even
nice,
think about it.
we'll do one for the blending. through.
Unless you wanna donate it, you can donate to $500,000.
We do it both ways, how's that?
Yeah.
So we'll,
There's plenty of soil.
yeah. Retainage area. In Wilbraham, we have a very large retainage area right on the right adjacent to the wetlands.
But when you come into propane and septic, there's definitely room by the loading area where we can
Transfer.
place any stuff down there, so that way it's out of the way for maintenance and fill ups and such.
Same with the generator, we'll locate that.
Yeah,
Right at the end of it. Kristen's not going. How many spaces? You still like 106 spaces, Dan, something like
He's
that?
got-
I have 92 normal regular spaces and 11 ADA. So it's a total of 103.
There you go. Okay.
We were just at, Dan and I were just at the North Andover site. And the previous site was behind town hall. They probably parked, they had 30 people there at any one time. At the new site, we had to wander around for a parking space. There was probably 5 available spaces out of them. It's really,
Out of how many?
I think there are about 100. Yeah, about 100.
Popular.
Yeah, it's a little, I think slightly, it's about the same size building.
Should we comment on this now, or do you want to wait?
Go-
Yeah, go ahead.
Jim,
Go ahead.
any comment? So one of the thoughts I had, which I think in the real world, people who go to the restaurant, the truckers are not gonna take a right, they're gonna come out here. I just don't see any any way they're gonna do all their work, pick up a dumpster or whatever that might be, and they're gonna come around like this and leave. I think they're gonna go right straight out with that lot, so I'm suggesting
Well,
that
they come at 7 in the morning, don't they?
this just ain't gonna, doesn't gonna happen though. I mean, if you're gonna stripe it and everything else, it's just impractical, so. I was thinking this should be a double wide, like a 2 exit, 1 entrance, 2 exits type thing, because in the real world, people who service the building aren't gonna come out and go around like this, but we can think about that later.
Yeah,
We'll think
we'll
about it.
discuss
It's
that.
just,
Yeah, I'm so
Stuff in the
concerned
room that'll happen.
about.
and we'll have to have a dumpster pad and enclosure,
Truck
Well,
service.
figure all that out.
We try not to do dumpsters, but we'll
So
see.
that's what you like to pick that, which is a preferable method if you can do it.
Yeah,
So
most of our very large centers do that. Long Meadow, which is 30,000 square feet,
yeah,
uses
just pick it up.
they,
That's good.
and they're covered, and what's nice about them, they're very controlled, so you don't have. The problem with the problem with the dumpsters, they often want closures around them,
And
and they beat
they
the
get,
crap
they
out
get
of
beat
them.
up.
So we got a ways to go.
Way down the line.
Don't want those bears getting in that dumpster.
But there's another dumpster, I mean, I know it's minute, but there's another fee. It's, if you have a dumpster, it's gonna run you $400 a month.
Pick up the
$300
trash.
Yeah, so you're looking at 12 months a year,
Well,
I'm just,
No,
I'm
no, I
not
know.
being down, I'm just telling you this.
I think that's part of the prep that we
Operation,
need to
you're
do
gonna-
is make sure, because right now we don't have trash service here. We use the housing authorities 2 dumpsters.
Yeah.
We don't generate a ton of trash here, but, we usually have a
Yeah.
bag or 2 a day in food waste, so.
You'll get more there.
No, I know what I'm saying, but we're not paying for it right now,
Oh, yeah.
is what I mean. We're using the housing authority, so that will be a new bill as well, for sure.
So Dan, just to let you know, I've got the site plan from before, when this was shown on a bigger, right to the lot line. And I did tell Ross Associates that my preference, although there's a drop off here, would be to have the whole operation closer to this lot line over here.
Yeah,
So
where it ends up,
we'll figure that out. Just because I didn't wanna.
Once we get that topo, it's gonna really help. We'll be able to really place it good.
Okay, well,
you
Yeah.
might wanna check with them, make sure we can get 1 foot.
there's gonna be quite a cut in the front, you know, it's high here, to the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah,
I
there's
may
a-
not know that.
we will probably be moving a lot of dirt.
Yeah, there's
Some sites, you know, the idea, Wilbraham, we raised that site almost 4 feet, the entire site.
well, this is good for them,
Well, there's,
plenty of material.
yeah.
You think it's gonna need to be raised?
No, I think there's gonna be cuts and fills that might balance. might
it's
be-
all
I'm
adjusted.
hoping for a balance site.
And
The best thing, 'cause
and
the
they'll-
material is just can move it around.
The topo will tell us a lot. And my civil guys are really good, so. So yeah, it's, and then, Dan's gonna be developing a few more images for you.
Oh yeah, I do have those renderings.
Where do you, I'm sharing screen, Dan. Do you want to start with the
Well, why don't we-
exterior or the interior?
Yeah, we can start with the exterior.
Okay.
And, right now, the gist of the building is the attic space takes almost all of our mechanical equipment, so we don't need to be building on grade, expanding either one of the floors. We just use the space above the second floor for the ERV, which is actually, it probably goes from this table to that wall. That's part of the energy code. ERV stands for energy recovery. ERV, what does V stand for? Ventilation, I guess. And then we have a lot of the ductwork feeding the second floor can run in that attic space. Sprinkler and electric room would be on the first floor. And
Yeah, you would see that off to the left of the. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say this rendering here, we're looking over on the if we're in the parking lot, we're off on the left-hand side looking at the building. So you're going to be seeing over up front here is our cafe area with the seating and our trellis area. Yep, exactly. Yep. So we have our cafe here. In that back there, there's a storage. There was a
Oh.
storage door, exterior storage for whatever cleaning supplies, winter supplies, what have you. And then I have our main entrance with currently I just have Ayer Senior Center. I don't know if we want to be thinking about names now, but currently I have this called the Ayer Senior Center.
then you have the walkway. which
Yeah,
is
we have
that
the walkway, the covered walkway going around the building.
And the idea is to save money is not to support it by columns, but rather to frame it off the main building. So we save a lot of,
Excuse me, is that a trellis?
yes,
Yes.
Is that making
Pergola.
it out further or?
yeah, it comes
What?
out for seating. Otherwise, you're only.
Yeah, it's so you have a bricked patio area in front of the cafe. This is to
It shows it
provide
here.
some shading.
You,
Yeah.
that's this.
So
area.
how far out is that?
It comes out enough for some seating and tables. I think it's
Yeah,
probably
it's over the seating.
maybe about 8-9 feet. It's just an open trellis. It's like,
Yeah.
it's shading and and it also defines the space that belongs to the cafe.
And then in the winter time, do the chairs and tables and
You put away.
everything, they get put away inside?
Unless you like, your snowsuit, which is.
So
I do that. I breakfast on my balcony
Use fire
every,
pits now.
all winter. I shove the snow out of the way and sit down, drink my shake. Sometimes
And
I don't. Wine. Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't want to show them in here, but yes, there will be trees in the parking lot area. I do show islands. These will have plantings and stuff, but they kind of block the view. So I did not show those in these. The other rendering we have for the exterior is, as we're approaching the building, as we're coming in from the drive, and you can see the utility kind of area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Service.
So that will have the service. You have far in the back there is your the medical storage bay, roll up door.
That one right
Yeah.
there. Right here.
Yeah, way right there. Up, and then you have an egress door, and I believe the other one is your sprinkler room. Coming, and then you got your wraparound walkway coming around, your drop off. There's enough room there to allow for a couple cars to kind of like line up if there's whatever needed. And there's still like if you future have a bus stop here, you can have enough to have a bus come by straight by here and egress. Sorry. That's about it I have for the renderings, at least the exterior ones. You have any comments on that? I could go with interior.
Go ahead.
I think it looks great on the outside. I love seeing it develop and come along.
Is that brick on the bottom, on the first floor to the bottom of the,
Here,
There's
where's
a
that?
our stone base.
Yeah, we have a
Yes.
stone base there. That's an add alternate too, probably.
Yeah, that
The
could be an
reason why
alternate.
that's save money.
It's masonry. It's masonry.
Yeah, but the issue there too is that when we try and save money, we'll run the siding down there, but it gets damaged easily. So we usually go with a stone base that resists snow blowers, shovels, cars. Yeah,
There's a
things
company-
that hit
it's a
it.
veneer.
It's a veneer
Yeah.
and
Company that
it,
makes that stuff, it goes right up.
yeah, it's actually literally glued on. And it's a culture. It's not real stone. We usually use a cultured stone.
is it more expensive
No.
than the?
Oh, then the siding. It's probably a file sub bid.
Yeah, it is a positive.
It may not exceed that, but our cost estimators will tell us whether it's a file sub bid or not. It has to exceed a certain amount of money to become a file sub bid. Otherwise, we throw it to the GC, which is usually a lot less expensive.
It looks nice.
We did not do that in Wilbur. We did that in North Andover and in Long Meadow. And in Walpole. and Westfield.
Yeah.
On the bottom, on the second floor,
Mhm.
it looks like two different textures, or is it not?
Yep, it's the same material. One is just, looks like shingles and the other one looks like clappers. And in some
Yeah, so it's-
cases, board and batten, but it's all the same stuff and they're
Yeah.
not little.
So it's not a difference in cost.
No.
No.
Looks nice.
And it's, as a little background, this is not meant to hopefully ever to be painted again. It's the trim is a composite material, it's polyash composite material that doesn't expand and contract, so it doesn't peel once it gets the paint on it. And the cement board is factory finished in the colors that you select. We're not picking a color here. We will down the road. But it is, we always like to say very low maintenance. We don't want to say maintenance food. Our great grandchildren will be painting it, but I won't be around to be related to. And the sign, as Dan said, we have a sign over the entryway there. And in this case, you've probably seen it in some others where we suspended underneath. We're hoping to put it on the fascia. It's much more readable.
Yeah.
We ran into a problem in Walpole because they wanted to call it a bank was the money behind the Walpole Savings Bank. So they wrote the Walpole Savings Bank you know, community centers, and everybody thinks it's a bank. And they come in saying, where's the ATM? You know, we do a reverse one, you want to leave money, you can. But yeah, naming is always tricky. But they did give them $500,000, so we got them.
All right, so our interior shot here, we are in the cafe. We're looking from the cafe across is our activity room 1. I just currently have it set up as a little group table session.
Yeah.
And then in here's our cafe, a couple chairs set up. Over to the right is, you know, coffee, a couple cups, our sink. Way out in the back there, as you were going in, that is our fireplace, and going into the library lounge. So you'll be kind of going around that unit there, and back there would be kind of the library lounge, with kind of the quiet space.
And the fireplace is, in this case, is double-sided.
Yep,
And
you would see it from both sides.
And you can, what you do is you go from noisy to less noisy to a much quieter space for reading or quiet conversation.
I've been working on just looking at comparables of other senior centers, and in talking to the directors, in terms of, I've asked them, how are things going since you opened it? And it's like, so many more people, and all these things are wonderful, and we love the lighting and the acoustics and the wainscoting. You know, we don't like the glass. Too much glass, people, it's not, it doesn't lend itself to privacy. I mean, one of their issues is about taken care of by our health center, which is private and is not all that glass. But having people being able to look in all the time at everything, some of people are finding that very distracting and just not private enough. So I don't know. I mean, I can see the pros and cons, but
The pro is that a lot of elders, as we get older, get a little bit less comfortable about wanting to be part of something. And part of the transparency is to encourage people to see activities that they want to join. And one of the complaints that I think you're talking about is in North Andover. And we redesigned it to the director's request. And when she decided late to put the fitness facility behind a wall of glass, she said, "Oh, this is terrible." And I said, "Well, that's, you asked us to put the glass there, then you move the workout area. You can fix that if you want." And what we did in Wellesley, because we're concerned about, you have a sheer curtain that you pull across when you want to be closed off.
Yeah.
But transparency, the real transparency is there's a problem within an area. Let's say somebody alone in a room falls down, they're going to see it. And also the other thing we found, and I've done a lot of lectures and talked to a lot of directors too. And one of the things that we hear is that, you know, George walks by and sees a bunch of people playing bridge, and gee, I'd like to join that group. Or I walk by and they're doing a demonstration of how to cook. And, you know, so there's both sides. And my solution for glass is, you know, like, to give you an idea, the nursing area, we have glass, but we usually frost it.
yeah,
Or we have a curtain designed for it. Because often somebody really wants to be more open. But like in Wellesley, we have a yoga class within the fitness area. So we created a curtain that pulls across between yoga and fitness. When I say fitness, I mean weights and treadmills and things. So when we get into the fine tuning of this, we will certainly listen to where somebody is concerned about visual connection and where they're not. One thing we have learned is that when you do have it, it creates a sense of synergy, if you will, or energy within the building. And we found it to be very successful, but I've been to lots of centers where they don't have glass at all. If you go to Not Holyoke. Holyoke, no, that's the one we did. The town next door, I can't remember right now. They're all closed. off.
Ludlow?
No, not Ludlow. Well, Ludlow is a
No.
good example. Those are all closed off rooms. You don't know what's going on in there. You know, you don't know that there's a group. You know,
Yeah.
playing bingo or something, I don't, whatever they're doing. So transparency is really important, but part of the final design, we'll be working with you closely of
Yeah.
how to address concerns like,
I mean, some of them I saw had a long line of the frosted.
yeah, that's
in the
all of
middle.
ours.
But I think it was Sudbury we went to, they had put up 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper on all the
You
things.
know why? Because people were walking
People were
into it.
walking into it. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, that's not a good thing either.
I
That-
think there's probably a compromise to be reached there.
Yeah.
where you can
I'm just
transfer
saying,
the
yeah.
light And give it not quite a fishbowl feeling for the people inside, but also create enough transparency that it is inviting and welcoming.
One of the ideas we looked at was doing bubbles, you know, little circle frosted circles that start dead slow and get a little lighter up above. But yeah, that's final design.
It's just
Yeah,
something
fascinating
that
part.
was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, go ahead.
The fascinating part about it,
I've talked about
it's
that
only this
before.
one room, it's the problem, for the glass, all the other rooms are small silos.
And don't do
Even the-
second floor.
Even the
I think on
biggest
the
room, the
second
fitness
floor,
room, has got a one small side,
Well, we reduced the glass here because you asked us to.
right, but I'm
we
saying
normally-
it's down to this one. room.
One,
So we
but
have
it's
to figure
very
out-
noticeable in this room, like
Exactly.
It's meant to
when
be.
you're
Yeah,
eating,
it's
I
meant to
know,
be.
but if you're in here eating,
You could
this
easily
is
get
all
rid of
going on,
these
and
two,
if you're in
keep the
there
two in the middle.
working, all this is going on.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I was just looking at it thinking, yeah, I can
Absolutely.
see that could be
Yeah.
a problem.
absolutely.
I'd keep the glass in the door, keep the two in the middle, and get rid of the two on the ends.
Yeah, well, what is it?
It's done.
Yeah, we have a long ways to go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I want to make a note of that.
I think that was, Dan, did you have any other drawings you wanted to share? Okay.
The only thing is I'm gonna be working on doing a rendering of the rear of the building. And possibly another one, another few or so of inside.
The multi-purpose,
Great.
and maybe upstairs in the fitness area, give you a sense of space.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, each drawing that I see, I get more and more excited about it because it becomes more and more real. Yeah.
So this point be brought out further to match. Or that happened to fade away with your eye, the way the point is parallel to the edge of the building, that high spot. On that side, we asked about that, why that is high on the right-hand side like that. See that, that's
Yeah, I see
mechanical,
it.
it's all mechanical up there, I guess. Oh,
Yeah.
is that the staircase for the fire?
Yes, on the side.
That's
Yeah.
is that the staircase, the stairwell?
That's the egress there over
Yeah,
there.
okay,
That's all about. And it goes all the way to the third floor.
right, oh no.
Yeah,
I walked.
so we have.
Great. The only question I had, this is just a quickie for. When we went out to Wilbraham, we saw your desire and your love for those special pavers, whatever those
The brick,
pavers.
yeah. You can fall on those and not hurt yourself. What about it?
Have anyone ever considered stamped concrete at all?
No, because
you
you
don't like
fall
it?
on, it's worse, it's as bad as ceramic. No, here's one of a really interesting stat. It's hard to believe. And I learned this a while back in some seminars. Falling on linoleum is better than falling on VCT. And
Yeah, linoleum,
falling-
a little cushion.
Yeah. and vinyl asbestos, a tile, but we call it composition now, we don't, VAT used to be. Then falling on carpet is better, all right? Then we use no ceramics in our projects. No, the kitchen is all Ultro, it's a commercial grade seamless vinyl. The bathrooms are all seamless vinyl. Outside, the bricks are actually a composite rubber brick.
Right.
It's not only green, but what's really interesting about it, as an item, it's more expensive than real brick that they can put down. It's a more expensive item, but it goes into a grid like a Lego. And it sits over compacted sand, so it's stable. When we do brick, we have to either pour concrete or put asphalt down in order to keep this problem of frosting, which causes tripping hazards. And then the other thing is that you can fall on this composite rubber brick, the same issue as the difference between vinyl or seamless vinyl and a hard surface. So all this is about safety. And also we find that if you, in Wilbraham, it's a very large zone. Frost, it's already gone through a winter. Frost heaving is not a problem because we do a frost-free sub-base that sits on this grid. And then they interlock between the grids. So that's the idea. And you can engrave those to raise
Yeah,
money.
Yeah, many of them are doing
Yeah.
that and making
Yeah.
some money.
Yeah, I think Walpole, they raised $40,000 on
Yeah.
this.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, good question.
That strikes me in the heart, because one of my wife's issues,
Yeah.
her whole downfall started falling on a patio that was.
Not level, not safe.
Mm.
Tripping is a huge problem for elders. You know, I'm susceptible to that. You know what I do now, and we do this in our stairs in the senior centers, we do that edge that you can see. And we do a dark edge and a luminescent edge. If you lose lighting or it's not well lit, the luminescent edge shows where the edge of the stairs. I have that, I have a 3-level house. I have it on every stair. Having walked down in the night and missed the last step, it taught me really quickly. So I'm very, these are all points that once this goes into the next level, if it gets that far, we'll be discussing a lot of this with you, especially the acoustics. The high frequency background noise is huge. Even here, we can hear the refrigerator. You won't get that in this. That's why you see those conference ceilings, and we have that special 0.95 NRC ceiling systems. In fact, in the multi-purpose room, we also put up acoustic panels on the high walls because you get a crowd, it becomes an echo chamber. So there's a lot of things that we'll get into.
Any other questions, comments, thoughts on the? So please.
Are we just about done with this piece of the work for you guys and the feasibility study and
Well, we're still working on more.
some of the internal?
Yeah, we're doing more images for you and I'm trying, I had a discussion with my cost estimator about if it went to a Springtown meeting and what it meant to go out farther. And I didn't agree with him. He's talking about right now that a lot of this type of public job is running at $900 a foot. We're carrying it at, I don't necessarily agree with that number. I'm less than that.
Excuse me?
I'm lower than that number. I don't agree with his assessment right now. I think that we can go into a more comfortable time, and he was suggesting that if we're bidding out to December, I was carrying 5% to for a spring bid. Obviously, we're not going to be bidding in spring. He was saying that should be at least 10%, and out to early winter, it would be a 15%, 20%. I carried 15%. So what I did is I just, assuming if we can get a special town meeting, this is just for discussion, get a special town meeting where we can get the funding for the drawings approved. We can save probably 6 to 8 months. But if we wait, to let's say a mid-spring town meeting, and I don't know what you have in plan. We would be then bidding probably in the November, December, which puts us in the winter conditions. what I would love to do is get this thing bid in the spring. This is somewhat self-serving because it's worked for us, but if we can bid it in the spring, I get my foundations in, my slabs in, I get my steel up, and I get the building enclosed before November. Because then our winter conditions are very different than they would be if we're breaking ground and trying to pour concrete in November, December, which we can do, by the way. I've built plenty of these in December, but we pay a premium for winter conditions for concrete work. So that's just something to think about as you work with the selectmen and talk about things.
So I think that does bring us to item number 8, which was current cost and budget discussion. I was gonna suggest that we schedule our next meeting perhaps to be solely focused on that, the budget and the timeline.
Because I can send out stuff between now and then
Right.
to you to digest and then respond to what we're thinking and how we can adjust it to your satisfaction.
I've got a summary of what you've done before, but I haven't sent it to you,
All good?
so you have to send to you, see how it goes.
I based, by the way, the list that I sent you, I took the allowances that were done for Wilbraham and translated it into this project.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not my cost estimate, those numbers. And I don't know where this has been a crazy bid time. I give you an idea that I just did a summary for the North Andover project. And when we built Walpole in 2019, we are half the per square foot cost we are today. COVID and supply chain really. And then, here's what the problem is. Once the prices get up, they say sticky. I don't want to give up all that money I'm making. And it's embarrassing for us,
Doesn't have to be.
I know.
Are you building an addition in North Andover or what?
No, that was a brand new building. That was a building we did. We were doing a review of the numbers there. Nantucket was one that we did. And it hadn't reworked because they decided they found a better site. So when we did that 4 years ago, we're $1,000 a foot. And then Nantucket. And now we're $2,000 a foot. That's frightening. It's welfare for architects. Our costs go up. My cost estimator's gone from $28,000 or $30,000 to $60,000, $70,000. Cost estimate. Well, they're used to doing $150 million schools, so everybody's building. Anyhow, yeah, how about if I send out my new things and maybe you could send me some of your thoughts?
I'll give you this. Right
Yeah,
now.
okay, great.
All right.
Thanks, Dan, Dan Arts. He's been working very hard on these.
Yes.
work.
I was complaining. I wanted 3 more.
And thank you, Dan. Dan we were working together earlier today to get the. No, Dan, you did, yeah.
Oh,
To
really?
get the highest resolution versions of
Oh, yeah.
those so that we can have them for our booth at the Newton Street Festival. So
Oh,
we can
cool.
really start to the broader public can stop by and see what we've been working on and, ask questions. So.
And the higher res, you can do.
Right, we'll do bigger ones. Yeah, so that should be exciting. All right, so any additional updates that we haven't covered thus far? Otherwise, we can go to public input and scheduling the next meeting.
I mean, I'd just like to say, about the Newton Street
Mhm.
Festival. So, we're going to be, at the booth.
Mhm.
And you'll be there all day.
I will be there all day.
Do we have schedules for other people? I plan to be there like 2 to 4.
Okay.
I thought I said I'd be helping in the morning, is what I said, right?
Yes, you said you were gonna help Betsy set up and then you were gonna help me set up, right? Okay.
He's gonna be serving wine to all the people who are gonna support it. So,
So I think that's fine, and then I think there are a couple of people from the Friends who are gonna drop by, it's gonna be a full booth, we'll have the.
Yeah,
Senior Center will have some space, the Friends will have some space, the Building Committee will have some space, kind of all in there together.
I had said I would try to come at noon, but I do have my 2.5-year-old granddaughter.
Understand.
And we have something planned in the morning and I don't know if I'll be back. By 12, so I wouldn't count on me.
Sorry.
I'll try to come when she goes down for a nap or whenever that is,
Okay.
for a little while.
And I think I've got one Council on Aging board member who's coming too. I have to look where I can. Yeah, should be good.
So there is a Friends meeting on the 8th, right?
Yes, at 10:30 in the morning.
At 10:30, right? I've received a lot of information when I was doing the comparable stuff from other sites that were talking about how much money they got from town and then how much money they raised either from individuals or businesses or other things that they did, and all through their friends. So I'll bring that information to the Friends group, and part of that was offering naming rights on their various rooms or the whole building or something. And I think it's Wilbraham or Longmeadow has a whole list of what they used and how much they were charging per room.
Yeah.
Which they said they would give us if we wanted, and we
you can
can.
get it from Long Meadow too, I think.
Yeah.
They'll be happy.
Yeah, well, the Longmeadow trained the people in Wilbraham.
Yes, they did.
So I thought that would be very helpful. And they're willing to work with us and
Yeah.
talk to us about setting up a capital campaign and everything. Of course, they have a lot more wealthy donors in those communities.
Well, I tell you,
We
it's
don't
really
think about
sleepers.
it.
You know, I can tell you, we. In Townsend. It turns out that they had a company called Sterilite, you know, Sterilite.
Yeah, that's small.
It used to be Tupperware.
No.
They were partners.
It was partners with them.
They were partners, yeah, but he's Sterilite.
Yeah.
He came up and said, you know,
Paid for the whole thing.
this is gonna cost, you know, why don't I just, you guys have been really good to our business. I'll just pay for the library and, oh, you need a senior center too? Just send me the bills, all publicly bid. Now, in Natick, we did a little presentation for somebody like what you're gonna be doing, a little. I brought my computer and we walked the guy through it and said, you know, he was just an interesting fellow and. 2 weeks later, he gave him a check for $750,000. They didn't know who he was.
Wow.
It was just kind of awesome. People come up, but you gotta kind of figure out where they're hiding out.
Yeah.
And also, you know, when you never be shy about asking for money, never. You know, and you can always ask the architect too, late in the game.
Actually, early in the game.
Yeah, but seriously. And also, it's really important, and Ellen will probably tell you about this. What, we have grassroots fundraising, we have big players. And Walpole, we had Walpole Savings Bank, which was chartered by Thomas Jefferson. That's how old they are.
Wow.
Never knew that. But we also sold bricks for $200 a piece, you know, in honor of my mother, you know, my great grandmother, you know, whatever. And the last time I heard, they were between $35,000 and $40,000, just because it made people, I can't afford to give you $1,000, but I'd love to buy a brick for somebody. And that is, you know, and then, by the way, in Wilbraham, they didn't bother to do that. They raised it separately for them. I don't think they do bricks. Nobody asked me to buy a brick. That's all I can afford.
I think they may have.
Yeah,
Wilbraham did do bricks,
They
but I don't
did.
think they did them until
oh,
after.
maybe it was
They're
Long
still
Meadow.
doing that.
Long Meadow
What,
didn't.
they were placing them and trying to. figure out.
Long Meadow didn't do bricks. That's
Yeah.
what- yeah. But it's amazing where the money comes from, but you have to allow people who in Holyoke. I was walking through the center after it was, well, or maybe a year and a half after it was done, and a gentleman was sitting upstairs in the card room. He's, oh, Mr. Kaplan, come over here. I want to show you. I have a plaque on the window that I did in honor of my late mother. I mean, that's how important that is. And that window was $500 for the bronze, little brass plaque. So there's all that stuff.
Yeah, they said every window they have is it's dedicated to someone.
Yeah.
It's like a church, you know, you look and they always
Yeah,
have.
there you go. Yeah. Well, we are like a church in many
Yeah.
ways, you know, we're,
So.
so anyhow, yes,
Gotta get organized.
and I think Matt is the guy over.
Yeah,
over-
Dylan.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I keep looking and going, I don't know what that is.
All right. I think that, any other things? Thank you, Ellen, for looking into all of that, because I know it's a big topic, both the comparables and, you know, the unofficial shepherding of the Friends group, both you and Carolyn, helping to get that up on it. Part of it. If there's not any other updates, I think that brings us to public input. Is there anyone here in the building or online that has public input?
Just one question.
Yeah.
The gentleman that's sitting next to you
Uh-huh.
said he had a walk-in path. How long is the walk-in path?
Well, it goes all the way around the whole building.
Oh, it goes around the whole building?
Yeah, it's covered. It's covered over the top, but not on the sides. On the side of the building.
Part of the roof,
Yeah,
covers
there's
it,
a roof, that-
and then
so
you
if it's
walk
raining
around.
or you can walk that whole circle of the building. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'd have to do some math that I can't do in my head at the moment.
Dan will do it for
Let's
you.
say it's maybe like 10 times for a mile, maybe-ish, something like
He'll
that.
do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And another question. Will you have music, a place for us to go? And I know certain people don't like a lot of music, but I'm a music lover. Will you have a place where I can go and just listen to music?
As long as I can come too.
All right.
We'll get Aerosmith.
Well, and you know, Kim Karen, that's a great point, because in this existing facility here, you really cannot enjoy music without disturbing someone else. And with the ceiling height and all of that, they're just, we've tried it.
It's hard.
It's really difficult to enjoy music, and I'm right there with you. I love music. So, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right there.
Oh, piano room. Maybe in the fitness room.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
play some music while you're,
Zumba,
yeah.
but you need earplugs for that.
Mm.
Any other public input?
Those are good questions, by the way.
Right, well, then I think that brings us to, scheduling our next meeting.
So Ellen's taking minutes for this meeting.
Yeah, I've been writing it all down.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I can also send you the link to the
Nobody
recording.
writes
for
as
the-
small as she does.
I'm a teeny tiny
Holy.
small writer, yeah.
Wrong, yes.
Thank you.
I figured I'd have to do it at some point.
Well, that's a good way to do it, because I've been listening to the tapes and this, you know, the meeting that I'm doing is 2.5 hours, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like.
I figured I'd take all the notes. If there was something I missed, I'll go back, but I'm not gonna
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
try to get it all over that.
Well, we could shorten meetings.
Yeah, really.
That'd be helpful.
Yes. Well,
You're doing pretty well. We're half an hour
I
ahead.
know, we're half an hour ahead, we're almost done. So, all right, so based on next steps that I have written down, which is eventually getting to a walkthrough with Ross and Associates. Hearing a report back from the biologist about the salamanders pathway. Let's see, oh, that was to me to update the documents section, because there's 2 things that are missing off our document section. You're gonna provide Wilbraham's electrical specs.
Yep, got that.
And you're also going to follow up on the utilities costs for Wilbraham
Yep.
and North Andover for us. And then, my note for myself to remember the trash costs when we have that utilities meeting. So we need to, the facilities meeting. So we'll be scheduling a facilities subcommittee meeting and a, what was the other?
Budget.
IT,
Yeah. Yeah, the
IT
IT and
does.
facilities, but Bonnie, the one you wanted to join.
it was, conservation.
That's just, we're just working on that.
Biology.
Oh, okay, yeah,
The
yeah, okay,
environmental
so that was
survey.
it, that was included in that. So I don't see. Some of the other ones, we're not in control of how long that will take for Ross Associates. That will be once the leaves are down, right, when we do that walk in a couple of weeks.
No,
So-
they can't start for 4 weeks, so they'll start at the end of
Right.
October. We probably won't be working until sometime in November.
Right, so I mean, is we need to schedule our, we don't,
No,
we
no,
don't
we
need
gotta
to
meet.
consider that for our next meeting.
No.
So at our next meeting, it would be an update on the facilities and IT.
And the
then
budget.
The budget, the cost and budget discussion. So when do we want to meet again? And Carolyn, you had mentioned you have some changes to
Yeah.
your schedule.
Right, I really can't be here on Wednesdays. So if there's another night that works for us, I would prefer that.
I mean, at least we don't have to compete with the town hall meeting space by meeting here, so I'm open to.
We have planning board meetings.
We meet Tuesday, every other Tuesday.
Thursday works for us.
Thursday, does that work? No, that doesn't work for you? Okay,
Get the water.
Do we
Monday,
need him? I don't know.
what about Mondays?
Mondays are tough for us.
Oh, okay.
It's the start of the week.
so,
But yeah, we can, if Monday works, we'll figure it out. We either, Joey and I, we're doing it, we'll
okay,
figure out a way. to be
Monday, 4 p.m.
Okay, I guess, yeah, Tuesdays are good too. Wednesday's awesome, but
Yeah, Wednesday's good.
yeah, it's all fun.
Tuesday works.
Tuesday's good.
What's the
What time
date,
is
what's the
it?
date of our net, what are we thinking for our?
but.
Oh, he
so
has, he
Tuesday
has,
doesn't work
he
for
has some
you.
meetings.
Planning board's on Tuesday.
You do.
But they're every other Tuesday.
We could work around the
So we-
planning meeting.
Yeah,
They're on the second and the fourth Tuesdays, second and the fourth.
So maybe
So we could aim more for the first and the third
Yeah.
Tuesdays, and we've been trying to schedule it. As
Select
the
board, I think
next
select board are
deliverables
1
are
and
due,
3.
but it seems to be every 2 weeks or so.
The selectmen are 1 and 3, maybe, on Tuesday,
Yeah, but we don't have.
but we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, we can meet at the same time select board is meeting, or we can.
Okay, so we're gonna try Tuesday?
Sounds good.
Monday.
Tuesday's fun.
Tuesday,
Tuesday, when the planning board is not meeting.
So just
So
look at
that's
the
the
second
first
and the
and
fourth
third.
Tuesdays at planning board, anything, so first or third. Tuesday. I
so
don't have the other guys to ask, but they're not here, so. Oh, Dan Fitzgerald, you might have.
Dave
The-
Gonzo,
yeah, he had 3 committee meetings that he was bouncing through on.
Because
Zoom
he goes to every select board meeting for a report,
Yes.
and they're on the first, yeah.
So they met yesterday. So do we want to meet on the 15th? That would be, right, that would be the 3rd Tuesday. That's works for you, right? Planning board, okay.
Of
So
October.
October 15th. And I don't know that we have to. I don't think we have to commit to the 1st and 3rd Tuesday.
No,
We're
no.
just trying to find the next meeting.
Yeah, got
That
it.
works.
That
for
would be
everybody.
good, because I'm gone the 19th to the 23rd.
I'm gone too, yeah.
Okay,
I mean, the 16th. I'm going the 16th
okay.
to the 23rd.
So we can meet in.
so, I'd also like to know exactly what needs to be done before we can go to town meeting. Because, the sooner we do town meeting, the better off we are. And what exactly has to be done for that?
we need some numbers. You're gonna give me some stuff.
I thought,
I'm going to, get you an update for spring versus November.
Mhm.
And my arguments with my cost estimator.
We still need to figure out what it's gonna cost to get power to the site, what's it gonna cost to get water to the site. septic and propane are pretty easy, right?
Well,
those two
We're
big-
we have those,
carrying a number.
we have
covered.
septic and propane.
You also don't wanna build a building and have poles hanging up. I seen, they're doing a job on, 2A, they're going into, I can't think of the name of the company, Herfco, and they've got poles up, they've been up there for like 2 months, they haven't done anything yet, so. They're.
Oh, that's a little,
Oh, Eversource,
oh, you're not,
2 months,
oh, surely, okay, sure.
2 months seems like nothing when you're dealing with Eversource.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a job, we had a job where we had we had everything and we still didn't have power in North Andover. We had to bring in a generator to run the elevator to make sure it was done right, you know, for 240, 277, whatever it was. You know, it's,
I thought
they're
the
notorious.
interesting thing I heard tonight from Mr. Catlin
Oh.
was the fact that we do have to consider how we would negotiate with Mr. Catlin to start the drawings early if we wanted to, because that's a separate budget process. I don't even know if we can do it.
You can't do it without town meeting.
I know
Yeah.
that, but.
Yeah.
Would this, how would we ever be strong enough to go to a town meeting and ask for X is fee for this to start? You, first of all, my question, I guess, would be, how would you put together a schedule of values for that fee? In other words, to focus, so we would get to the drawing stage and be ready to bid the drawings. That's pretty much.
Every
big
single
part of
one of
the
my
thing.
projects are that way.
Okay,
all
so
the-
that's what I'm getting at. I thought it was important that you said it.
Yeah,
So,
every one of our projects are often done that way because you often, here's one of the real question I'm sure you're gonna ask is, until the drawings are at 90%, it's a balancing act about where the budget is.
Yeah.
We're aiming for a budget that we kind of agree to, whatever that is, whether it's 10 million or 25 million. We work towards that budget, but I can't predict what the numbers will be in May or June when it's bid. But but as this project goes, we get a 30% budget, a 50 or 60% one, and a 90% one. So we know where the pulse is in the marketplace from a cost estimator who's doing these things, dozens of them all the time. And as we work towards that, we have to adjust the building to meet that budget. And that's our job. We have a budget we have to design to. I have an idea what this building costs and that's where we're basing it. But we have to decide whether we're all in agreement on that number. You were bringing up earlier, your concerns about, people's concern about the overall cost of this project.
Well, look,
This
we'll have a concern about the cost, but
Yeah.
what I'm getting at is how would this committee be able to vote to separate the costs so that the risk the town is taking is that we would design the building ready for bidding.
Yeah. And
Yet
not,
we haven't got the approval to build the building.
Yeah.
Would the town have an appetite to spend substantial amount of money?
I remember
That's my
having,
question, that's my.
I remember having a conversation with the town manager, and don't hold me to the very specifics of this, because it was over a year ago. That some towns bid for the drawings.
Yeah.
And then they go back to town meeting for the
construction.
borrow request or the construction costs, right? Other towns bid the whole process, because why would you spend X thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars without the assurances that the town is on board to actually spend that money in the end?
That's what we're talking about.
So
And-
some.
there's some legal
towns-
problems with that.
Yeah, there are some.
You cannot bid unless you have the money. You cannot ask contractors. Contractors spend thousands of dollars doing a bid.
Right,
And
but
you can't go out there and say, well, you know, we decided, the town voted against it. And all 10 or 15 contractors who probably spent, I don't know what they spent, but probably spent $5,000 to $6,000, $10,000.
I was gonna say 10.
Right.
Yeah, and the state has rules about that. And so normally, I tell you, my last 5 jobs, we did the drawings and then we went to town meeting with a hard number. If you go to town meeting now, you don't have a hard number. You have only a feasibility
We
guesstimate.
understand, yeah.
yeah,
So,
so I think,
Hey, that's gonna happen this weekend. When you're at Saturday and those townspeople are gonna be going up to the
Yeah.
booth and they see these pictures, what's the first thing they're gonna ask?
Right.
What is this?
We all know what they're gonna ask.
Orling, this.
Why is it, why some are gonna say, why are we doing this? Some are gonna say, how much is this gonna cost? I can tell you right now, I know this
I have
stuff.
the answers to all.
You know,
this.
and
It's not-
exactly.
not easy.
Right, no, it's not easy.
Not hard either.
It's not hard,
I
but it's
mean,
not
we,
easy.
the town,
Do we
the
have
board of
enough
selectmen
money?
authorized to do a feasibility study, that's what we're in.
Do we have enough money within that 300,000 that we got?
No,
Grant to cover that?
no,
No,
not even close.
My sub-consultants are gonna be probably 150, 175,000. That's not, and we do all the work. I mean, they do a lot. We give them all the shelves, we give them all the documents, and then they fill in their pieces, but it's very
But
expensive.
John, what are we, so if we do that, which I don't think we should, but
Yeah,
if we did do that, how much are we talking about?
70, roughly 70% of the fee. 30% is bidding and CA.
Construction management costs.
Yeah,
Construction
I'm sorry, construction.
administration, yeah.
And bidding has gotten a lot more economical for everybody because we do it online. We usually carry. We carry probably 5% for bidding and 25% for CA. It varies a little bit, but on new construction on a clean site, that's about what it is.
So if we went to town meeting just to get the design done, how much would we need?
He doesn't know yet. Just-
Well,
you can ask him to
I
bid
mean,
it.
he must have a
Yeah,
ballpark.
I have a number. It's 70% of 1.2 million.
That comes out to 650 as far as I know. Yeah, 70% of 1.2
Yeah.
is 6.5.
Yeah,
650,000.
670.
So if we did do that, we'd go into town's councilpeople and say, we should
Seven.
We have to
vote to
talk.
do this to
Yeah,
get it going, but then we're gonna have to come back in front of them again
Right.
for the final number, so we're gonna see them twice.
Yes, yes. Every town I've worked in has done that. Everyone.
It's a step process. but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
complicated.
and I can tell you right now, I can't quote it right now, but I know I've run into this, but not that. In the town of Hubbardston, they didn't have an OPM. And you have to think about that, by the way. I have a number in there for
Yeah,
you.
we got it. And-
Yeah, you have to have an OPM, and hopefully it's within the town, which saves you a lot of money, but they. Against our recommendation, they decided to bid the project. They had funding for the drawings from a grant, or they have a $500,000 grant. So we did the drawings. And they bid it without having approval in the town. And I can tell you, the contractors went to the state to complain. I don't know what the rules are anymore. They've changed, but I can tell you right now, it's not really fair. It depends how hungry people are. We could have 15 contractors bidding this, or we could have 5. It just. It's really a very.
So would you like me to specifically request that the town manager, the assistant town manager attend the next meeting to walk through that process?
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll set up numbers and if you could give me your stuff.
I'd like to have them attend, but I'm not sure they will give me the answers because it's pretty.
Yeah, that's true. They would. Yeah, we would be meeting during the select board meeting, so that wouldn't work. We could meet earlier. Before their meeting.
Any way, Carolyn, that you can postpone one Wednesday? Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. I have a new job, you know, I'm a music director at a church and I'm trying to get choir going and the only day for choir is Wednesday, so.
What time?
7.
So, I mean, one option would
Start
be
this
to
at
meet
5.
at 5 or 4:30.
Could you meet early like that? I can meet at 4:30, like 4 or 5.
5, it's fine, but it's better for me.
Actually,
I'm not driving home in the dark.
Yeah, I can do it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, 5 on Wednesday would work.
Actually, that's not a problem, because you live here, we don't have to have the town hall.
Especially for us not retired people.
Yeah, no, that's fine with me. Dennis can make that and.
Yeah.
It's the 16th and.
Would that,
So the 15th is the 15th, right?
Well, if it's Tuesday, but if you're
Oh,
gonna do it at 5 o'clock,
yeah,
we
okay,
can do
so
it
the
on Wednesday.
16th, yep,
I'm flying
So,
out on Tuesday, I mean on
Unfortunately, I can't do
Wednesday.
the 15th.
I can't do the 16th.
Okay, so it's gonna be Tuesday the
Doesn't matter.
15th at 4 o'clock.
I thought it was Wednesday.
No, we can't do it.
That's
Oh,
16th is when I'm leaving. I could
15th.
do
Oh.
I could do Tuesday, but I'm flying Wednesday.
15th, 5 o'clock. Well, you
for the next meeting.
4 o'clock. Go to 4 o'clock?
4?
Well, I think Dan B has a kid in baseball or something. I don't know.
What's dinner? 4 o'clock,
Or
15th.
4 p.m. on the 15th.
Yep.
Yeah.
Robert can come.
Okay, all right, so Tuesday the 15th, 4 p.m. And I'll invite Robert.
At this location.
Yes. Okay, and then, I guess Pauline, are you still there? You had your hand up?
I'm still here, Katie. Thank you for recognizing me, but I am totally lost in your last discussion. I will just ask this. You've just spent a lot of time figuring out when you're going to meet next, and I'll wait for that. Have you all settled on a design and a price?
So we're still in the process of that. Obviously, that's being refined as we go. But, I mean, it's about as defined as it's going to be for the feasibility study portion.
Feasibility, yes, and I don't want to interrupt, I'm sorry. But it is my understanding that maybe there'll be a new architect and a new design coming forward from my conversations with members of the committee. And I just am, I guess, a little confused listening to everything that was said tonight. It seems like this 14, 15, $16 million project is the design.
So I'm not sure who you talked with on the committee, but I can speak in general to that, is that the idea is that we chose John as our architect for the feasibility study.
Right.
And when it goes out to construction, you have to rebid that process.
Right.
Yeah,
Right, so,
Yeah.
but, I mean,
you can.
you don't.
You don't have to.
That I would need to clarify. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it makes the most sense to stick with the same person, but I don't know that that's necessarily a requirement. Is that what you're speaking to?
You know what, Katie, I'm not 100% sure because it's been very confusing. And I just really want to say, if we are going with this single design, I think that's unfair to the residents, especially seniors, myself included, who are going to pay for this. I think we should have alternative options. I don't know if you're going to have 150 to 200 people every day at the center. And that's what you're aiming for. There are over 300 parking spaces based on my count. And I don't know that you're gonna have that kind of access on a daily basis. I just share that as my own view.
Right now, so Pauline, I want to correct you. There are 92 spots plus 11 ADA spots. So that's the number.
Okay.
You know, I'd have to do some digging, historically for the town. I'm not aware of very many municipal projects where there's like multiple options to choose from.
Nope.
Typically, the committee that has been charged with that, goes through that process and makes a recommendation. I think there's a place for public input, as we go forward, and there may be modifications that are made based on that. But, you know, there are as many opinions as there are people in town. And so,
That's right.
the reason that there's a committee that works on it for so long is that, you know, they're trying to build a consensus and to make a recommendation.
Katie, I agree with you. You know, I've been on many a committee and I understand the process. I just don't know where this design has even been vetted in the public. You all haven't voted to approve this design. And I just think that there's been no public outreach whatsoever yet. I realize you're working on it. I'll give you that.
Yeah, so that's, it's a bit of a chicken and an egg that way, right? If it's not at least well-formed enough that you have a sense that it's fairly firm enough to get a cost estimate, then you go to do public input and it's inconclusive, right? Because people don't know whether they support it or not because there's not enough information. So right now, I think we're finally coming to the point where we have a solid enough design that we have a decent cost estimate that we really can go out with a good presentation with which to get public input and feedback on.
But if I remember last meeting, you actually had a resident at 18 Pond indicate she was not in favor of the design. So I really don't know if this is getting the public input it needs. And I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to debate this with you, Katie. I'm sorry. I appreciate your opportunity to say what I had to say.
Absolutely. Thank you, Colleen.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I would just say that, because I'm very interested in the public input portion of this, and we're trying to put together some documents to put together to give people about the building and about comparable costs at other centers and all kinds of things that we would give out when we go to these meetings. So we are preparing for that public input, which we haven't done yet because we are finalizing the design and the costs and the information that we need. So I think, Pauline, we will definitely, and we're trying to be pretty inclusive in terms of reaching out to a lot of different people and organizations and everything else like that. So.
And I appreciate that, Ellen, I do. I just think I'm a senior. I'm well into my senior years. I've never accessed any of the senior activities because I live alone and I'm capable. But the fact that we are presenting a plan or design, shall I say, to a population who may or may not use it without them having an opportunity to design it is unfair because they're going to pay for it. So I think the fact that this committee might choose a design without public input is wholly unfair. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Meetings open to everybody.
The
Yeah, it's
meetings
wide
are-
open.
Right, the meetings are wide open. We've had over 20 committee meetings. I've given probably 6 presentations here at the senior center for our current users. I try to keep them updated about every other month about how it's going, to the point where some of them are rolling their eyes at me now when I say, let me get days. So, but it is a process, it is, yes, and the select board and the finance committee. So we're out there, but we're right at the cusp. We're right at really the beginning of the public input phase. We are, so that's where we're headed next. So, all right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right, wonderful. And second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Hi.
I can't vote.
Aye, but I would.
Wonderful. Chair says aye, adjourn us at 7:57 PM.
You don't want
Thank you, everyone.